My name is Eric, and welcome back to my channel, D&D Original Character. Today we are taking a look at the top 10 best pound-for-pound spells in D&D 5e. Pound for pound is a term usually used in combat sports to determine the best fighter overall. The best fighter is not necessarily the heaviest athlete, but rather the most skilled and dominant in their respective weight class. To translate this to D&D, we are looking for the most powerful spell relative to its level. Obviously, if we were to do a list of the most powerful spells in D&D, it would be full of 9th level spells. But 9th level spells are only available for a fifth of the campaign. If your character is a full caster without multi-classing, and even then that fifth of the campaign, levels 17 through 20, are oftentimes never seen in actual play. So with that in mind, here are the 3 primary criteria I'll be using to help determine this list. Number 1, how early does the spell become accessible? Number 2, how powerful or dramatic is the effect of the spell? And number 3, does the spell stay relevant throughout the duration of the campaign? Based on these criteria, I'll definitely be favoring spells that come online earlier in the campaign, primarily 1st through 3rd level spells. But the spell should stay relevant. For example, the sleep spell, which is extremely powerful and potentially combat ending at early levels, has a dramatic drop-off once you reach character level 4 or 5. With all of that being said, this list is just my opinion, so please tell me what you think is the most powerful pound-for-pound spell in the comments below. Number 10, starting off this list, we have Bless. Bless is a 1st level spell. It takes an action to cast and requires concentration and lasts for up to a minute. It's available to clerics and paladins, but it can also be added notably through the Fey Touched feat. You choose up to 3 creatures within a range of 30 feet, which can include yourself, and it boosts your attack rolls and saving rolls by a d4. Boosting your chance to hit and increasing your saving throws are both crucial components of taking down enemies and surviving combats. When you upcast the spell, you can target 1 additional creature for each spell slot above first. So not only does this spell come online early, it stays an effective use of your concentration through level 20. Now there are more potent spells to use your concentration on, but Bless is so reliable and makes a consistent impact both offensively and defensively for the majority, if not all of your party, and it earns its place on this list. At number 9, we have Find Familiar, one of the best, if not the best, utility spell in the game. With Find Familiar, a spirit takes an animal form, and the forms are listed in the spell description. This familiar can help with scouting and spying, as you can communicate with the familiar up to 100 feet and see through its eyes and hear what it hears. Additionally, the familiar can use its action to administer a healing potion or use the help action to grant advantage on 1 attack. A familiar can even use its reaction to deliver a spell you cast with a range of touch. All of this comes at the cost of a lowly 1st level spell, which can also be cast as a ritual, meaning you don't use up that spell slot. And the familiar is with you for an hour. Once that hour is up, you can just ritually cast the spell again to have your familiar return. Truly an amazing spell that no wizard should leave home without. With number 8 on our list, we have Mass Suggestion. Mass Suggestion is a 6th level spell that allows you to effectively control up to 12 creatures on a failed wisdom save for 24 hours. This control is limited to a sentence or 2, and the suggestion can't be obviously harmful, but a suggestion like lay down your weapons and run home would work and could potentially end the combat or severely reduce the number of enemies that you're facing. Not only is this an effective in combat, but being able to influence a large group has endless utility as well. The amount of creatures who are immune to the charmed effect does increase as the campaign goes on, but Mass Suggestion is still arguably the strongest 6th level spell in the game. Moving on to a spell that can outright stop Mass Suggestion, at the number 7 spot is Counterspell. This iconic spell was used during the climactic battle of Critical Role's Campaign 1 finale. Counterspell, the definition of a clutch spell. Used as a reaction, Counterspell can completely negate a spell being cast by an enemy mage if the spell is of 3rd level or lower. But even if the spell is of a higher level, the user of Counterspell can either upcast or match the opposing spell, or make an ability check using your spellcasting ability, and you'll still have a decent chance of negating the spell. Being able to prevent enemies from using their strongest spells can utterly save an entire party from destruction, and is again a spell with relevance from levels 5 all the way to level 20. At number 6, I'm placing both Conjure Animals and Conjure Woodland Beings here. Conjure Animals is a well-known spell for its offensive potency. It can provide greater damage than Fireball and upcast much better than Fireball. In particular, the general strategy is to summon a greater amount of lower CR creatures like Velociraptors as opposed to 1 or 2 higher CR creatures. Conjure Animals is, however, not without fault. For example, the spell technically does not allow the player character to choose what she would like to summon. Rather, the DM is the one who decides. Additionally, aside from the Shepherd Druid, the attacks from the Conjure Animals are not magical, so many creatures will have resistance to that damage. This is why I wanted to give credit to Conjure Woodland Beings as well. While one level higher than Conjure Animals, Conjure Woodland Beings is arguably the greatest summon for its level. In contrast to Conjure Animals, Conjure Woodland Beings is not cast primarily for damage. Rather, Conjure Woodland Beings' strength lies in its great utility. With Conjure Woodland Being, we summon a Fae or CR 2 or lower. One of the best examples to summon is the Dryad because of its innate spellcasting options. With the Dryad being a level 1 CR Fae, the caster can conjure 2 Dryads with a 4th level spell slot. Each Dryad can cast Good Berry, arguably the most economic and efficient healing spell in the game, 3 times per day. So just with this spell alone, we can create 60 good berries. So for a 4th level spell, we already get 6 1st level spells out of it. But the Dryads can also cast the 2nd level spell Pass Without Trace, which is one of the strongest 2nd level spells in the game, granting a plus 10 to stealth checks for your entire party. The Dryad is just one of the options to choose from when casting Conjure Woodland Beings, but I hope it's clear that Conjure Animals is a top tier spell for damage, while Conjure Woodland Beings offers an incredible amount of flexibility and utility. At number 5, we have Wall of Force. I could definitely see an argument for having Force Cage on this list, as it's just a better version of Wall of Force, but Wall of Force is a 5th level spell, while Force Cage is 7th. Meaning Wall of Force will see much more playtime during the campaign than Force Cage, and it accomplishes a similarly powerful effect. With Wall of Force, we gain 10 by 10 feet invisible panels that we can create a wall with. Nothing can damage the walls or pass through them, save for disintegrate or teleportation spells. What makes this such a powerful spell is that it can be utilized in battle strategy. With the wall, we can split the enemies in half, take on the first half of enemies, and then take on the second half separately. Or we can section off the big bad with our wall and dispense with his minions first, then focus firepower on the big bad to take him down more quickly. Ultimately, Wall of Force is a great strategic spell that can fundamentally change the dynamics of battle within 5e. At this point on our list, we are entering game-breaking spells. At the number 4 slot, we have Simulacrum. Many an optimizer for 5e are very familiar with Simulacrum. This is a 7th level spell, which, while insanely powerful, does not come without its drawbacks. For example, the spell takes 12 hours to cast and consumes 1,500 gold pieces each time you cast the spell. With the spell, you can create a duplicate of a beast or a humanoid. The common practice here is to create a duplicate of your own player character. When you do so, the Simulacrum has all of your spell slots. While it is half of your hit point maximum, and it also has none of your equipment, so you may want to outfit it before your adventuring day. The Simulacrum cannot regain spell slots and cannot increase its own level. But at this point in the campaign, you're at least a level 13 character, so your Simulacrum will have 7th level spells and below. This spell can be abused even further when you have 9th level spells, because Wish allows the caster to cast any spell of 8th level or lower and ignores the components in the casting time. This means that a 17th level wizard or sorcerer can cast Wish to cast Simulacrum in an instant. Then that Simulacrum can use its 9th level slot to do the same, and the same, on and on ad infinitum. But even without the 9th level Wish Simulacrum game-breaking combo, a 7th level casting of Simulacrum in effect doubles your potency as a high-level caster. The impact of this cannot be overstated. Perhaps the most controversial pick on this list, with number 3, we have the Wish spell. Wish is widely considered the strongest spell in all of D&D, and for good reason. Aside from its ability to cast any 8th level spell, 8th level or below spell without costly components or a lengthy casting time, Wish is the only spell in the game that ultimately allows the player to truly bend the laws of reality in the D&D world. With the wish spell, you can literally make a wish to your DM. The wish could be to bring somebody back from the dead, change the flow of time, bend the fabric of space and gravity, etc. In the case of these wishes, the DM has great leniency on whether or not they permit the wish from coming to fruition. Additionally, if the wish is granted, the player character has a 33% chance of never being able to cast Wish again. Despite these downsides, because of the innate versatility and its truly unique and game-altering capabilities, Wish, while a 9th level spell, still lands as the 3rd best pound-for-pound spell in my opinion. All the way from a 9th level spell to a 1st, in 2nd place, we have a tie with Shield and Silvery Barbs. Shield likely needs no introduction, but this 1st level spell is a reaction spell, which grants the user a +5 to their AC until the start of their next turn. This +5 has a dramatic effect, often turning hits into misses, and that protection lasts even if multiple enemies attack you during that round. While Shield is simple and straightforward, that does not take away from its power or effectiveness. In essence, it's basically a guaranteed spell selection for any caster who has access to it, and is often a reason to multi-class into wizard or sorcerer just to gain access to it. Likewise, while newer to the scene, Silvery Barbs made waves when it was first introduced in Strixhaven. Silvery Barbs, similar to Shield, is a 1st level reaction spell. You can cast Silvery Barbs when a creature you can see within 60 feet succeeds on an attack roll, ability check, or a saving throw, and you make them reroll their d20. Silvery Barbs is better than the Shield spell in its overall versatility, helping to potentially save against debilitating enemy spells, while Shield can still have the larger overall effect since it lasts for an entire round of combat. Silvery Barbs does have the additional rider of granting advantage to you or an ally on your next attack roll, ability check, or saving throw within 1 minute. While neither Shield or Silvery Barbs are game-breaking, because they come online so early in the campaign and stay useful throughout the entire campaign, they only use up your reaction and are ubiquitous on virtually every optimized build. Their place as 2nd on this list is well-deserved. And at number 1, the best pound-for-pound spell in all of 5e, we have Hypnotic Pattern. This 3rd level spell is known for its incredible power. 3rd level spells in general are always known as a big power jump in the game from 2nd to 3rd level, and Hypnotic Pattern is arguably the strongest 3rd level spell in the game. Hypnotic Pattern just takes off every box we've been grading on. It comes on early, it stays effective for the entirety of the campaign, and can even end combats on its own. It's a 3rd level spell coming on at 5th level for bards, sorcerers, warlocks, and wizards. It has a range of 120 feet and requires concentration for up to a minute. The spell creates a 30-foot cube, and creatures must make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, the creatures are charmed for the duration. And while charmed, these creatures are incapacitated and have a speed of 0. The spell effect overall has a huge impact on the game, and while even though many enemies become immune to the charmed effect later on in the campaign, because this comes on at 5th level, it's going to stay relevant for the majority of levels that most player characters actually see at the table. And so because of that, it deserves our number 1 spot on this list. So that's the list. Tell me what you think in the comments below, and feel free to give me your opinion on what the best pound for pound spell is in D&D 5e. My name is Eric, and welcome back to my channel, D&D Original Character. Today we are taking a look at the top